He was nicknamed the Red-Headed Madman, and he considered the painting that is worth more than $100 million today to be a failure. Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night is one of the most famous works of art on the planet, but the history behind it is not as bright as you might think. Van Gogh spent his adult life in poverty, surviving on cheap food, mainly bread and coffee. He drank alcohol excessively and was rarely ever seen without his pipe in hand. He constantly suffered from episodes of depression, anxiety, and psychotic symptoms, and used to put candles in his hat so he could paint at night. He walked ridiculously fast and was a widow chaser, and never once signed his paintings. Van Gogh once got into an argument with a fellow artist over a work partnership disagreement that sent him into such frenzy that he picked up a razor and mutilated his left ear. He later wrapped it in paper and presented it to a young woman in a local brothel. He was admitted to the nearby hospital for immense blood loss, and once he recovered and was discharged, he fell into a deep depression, and the only thing that helped him at the time was painting. He would paint at home during the day, but spend his nights at the hospital. Over the years, because of the hallucinations and delusions, he spent a lot of time in and out of hospital. His experiences became more intense and frequent, and he was judged by his brother and friends to be unfit to live alone, and fellow citizens of the town of Arles signed a petition saying that he was a danger to the community. This led to him voluntarily committing himself to an asylum. Despite his unstable mental health and other struggles, he was very productive, and he created many of his famous works during this time, including the famous Starry Night. The scene depicted in the painting is inspired by the view from his room at the St. Paul Asylum. The cypress tree in the foreground and the swirling sky are thought to represent not only the view, but also his emotional state during that period. The red-headed genius considered the Starry Night to be a failure, and he sold only one painting during his life, and much of his work has been lost, as many people who owned his work thought it to be worthless. Even his own mother is said to have disposed of a bunch of crates full of his paintings. Van Gogh died at the age of 37 from a gunshot wound in an attempt to self-delete. He shot himself in the chest, missing vital organs, and dying 30 hours later in a hospital bed, and his last words were, "The sadness will last forever." After Vincent van Gogh's death, his sister-in-law inherited many of his artworks. She heavily promoted his work in art exhibitions, which led to his posthumous fame. And in 1900, she sold the Starry Night to a private collector, which was a part of a significant donation later made to the Museum of Modern Art in New York City. This prestigious contribution has solidified its place as a centerpiece, magnetizing millions of visitors annually to admire its presence. And that was the sad backstory behind the famous Starry Night.